Ready, set, races! Welcome to Hot Wheels Unleashed, the answer to my 6-year-old self's question, will I ever get to drive a Hot Wheel for reals? As a kid growing up, I was all about 3 worlds, He-Man, G.I. Joe, and Hot Wheels. The latter, however, was my most consistent toy because it was the most parent accessible, that is, cheap. My love of Hot Wheels wasn't about the toy's accessibility though, it was in its outlandish designs that sidled up against real-world cars. And growing up in the 80s, my whole world was cars. Knight Rider, The Fall Guy, Dukes of Hazzard, Cannonball Run, Smokey and the Bandit, cool cars, fast cars, and cool cats in those cars. It all just filled up my formative and aspirational self, feeding both a real-life want while letting my imagination go crazy with the aforementioned outlandish designs. To that end, I've been champing at the bit to have a go at Hot Wheels Unleashed ever since it was announced. And even now in limited quick play only preview form, it hasn't let either 6-year-old me or current me down. This is largely due to the initial selling point of the game, scale. In Hot Wheels Unleashed, we're introduced to the evergreen franchise in a honey I shrunk the insert whatever you want here form. And running on my Zotac Gaming GeForce RTX 3070, this real-life world through the eyes of a Hot Wheel, as if it were alive, so, shrunken down, is simply a breathtaking amalgam of both spaces, while also delivering on the immediate requirement of any such endeavour like this in amplified OTT. And I'm not talking about Sylvester Stallone. Only 80s people will get that. Era snobbery aside, there's something special about the presentation here that transcends the make the toys a video game brief. For one, while this is a racing game that follows a few racing game rules, the devs have played with the premise in unique ways. You can smash about the place, go off track, ram other cars, launch and more, but the weight of the cars the whole time you're doing this feels like toys. But not at all to the detriment of the experience. In fact, it amplifies it. And that lightweight approach to the game's physics does play into those racing game rules I mentioned earlier. You have a Mario Kart-esque timed grid ignition bonus that fills a portion of your boost to electively use off the line right away, while that same boost as you race fills more quickly when you're attacking the track with aggression, be it drifting or slipstreaming. It will feel regardless, but the game promotes a more proactive push for the player to juice themselves up as often as possible. It's also important because these tracks and races, so far in quick play only preview form, are long, really long. It's not a bad thing, and I always felt like I was a chance to get back into any race I'd come unstuck on, but this did highlight that there might be some rubber banding issues here, and possibly predicated by my own position on the track. This might just be a preview thing, but it's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on as we close in on the game's full release finish line. But getting back to lengthy tracks. The longevity of a race here doesn't feel like a hard slog or an uphill battle, unless you count the gravity-defying hills on offer. What these expanded courses present though is varying degrees of fun and approach. Obviously part of the design remit here is to include real-world Hot Wheels track pieces, but having them, marketing inclusion or not, is awesome because the magic of video games means they get to come to life beyond a special effects laden commercial or from within a magic raceway of a Hot Wheelsophile's head. Parts of each track come with things like magnetic fields or boost pads that will help fill your nitrous or one-button boosters, but there are also dangers that aren't just precarious parts of the track without a guard that will likely see you plummet to your toy car death. These can be spider webs either already on the track or spat at you by pesky spiders, or a snake's mouth closing right before you're about to enter it, resulting in that plummet I mentioned a moment ago. And while the tracks present their own challenges, dangers and personalities, the cars on offer here, of which we have 33 to choose from, also come with their own stats and personalities to play with. The depth of how tracks, cars, modes and playstyles all coalesce was hard to discern in the limited quick race mode available to play, but that we can already see so much on offer across different lines here suggests there might be something a bit special lined up on the grid in the final version of the game. What I was left with after having had access to this preview build for a while now is a pure hunger for more. On my rig, Hot Wheels Unleashed is absolutely stunning, with each car presenting play scars, chipped paint and a general sense of wear and tear, and lighting that highlighted all of that seamlessly, while the surrounding environment simply sold that toys to life premise on attention to detail alone. I also had the game running on ultra settings at 60 frames per second and came across 0 performance issues, so optimization here is looking pretty good already. But most importantly, even in limited access the game was just fun. Like, super fun. And if all we get is that expanded upon in the final game, that is fun, then we're all in for a serious treat.